G'day guys, huida, kia ora. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show, and yes, you are here today because everybody knows. In the world of rugby, nobody knows the law, including the referees. The 20-minute red card has been all over the shop over the last couple of weeks, and yeah, unfortunately, it's just caused more confusion and a lot of, wrong decisions, in my opinion, that was on display by the referees. And quite frankly, I'm not surprised maybe, that this is happening because World Rugby changes the law every 20 minutes, right? But the good news is, you have me. I watched every Super Rugby game in the last almost decade, and, the 20-minute red card has been enforced in Super Rugby for the last at least 2-3 years now at this point. So yeah, we have a lot of data, a lot of evidence of how it's supposed to work. It's quite consistent the way that they employed it at Super Rugby. So I'm going to talk about how it's supposed to work, how, or at least how it's observed to work as Super Rugby, and how it is working today, and compare the differences. And obviously, right, what I'm going to tell you is based on observation and my understanding of the 20-minute red card from the Super Rugby, and some of the rugby championship stuff we saw in the past, and how World Rugby actual guideline is for 20-minute red card, today might be different, because World Rugby might have changed it or tweaked it for this November Test series. I don't know, but I'm just going to tell you how it's fundamentally designed to work and how it's inconsistent with what we saw this weekend. So don't get angry at me. Post your comments, angry comments down below. But hey, don't be surprised if I fight back against your disagreements. But hey, so first up, I just want to give us everybody a summary of the 20-minute red card and how it works in Super Rugby. So it's really clear cut. There's two levels. The full red card and the 20-minute red card. The full red card basically applies to what has always been a red card, essentially, since the game turned professional, essentially. So things like striking another player, abusing the referee, or like an illegal, dangerous move, like a spear tackle, right? Like you take someone and spear tackle someone, or maybe tackle someone in the air or something and then land on their head. Something that's an illegal move, that's a banned move to begin with. Straight red card, not a 20-minute red card, okay? So that's number one. Now, there are some things that are not so strict, not so clear cut, like a rugby incident. Like, say if a player goes for a tackle, something happens, and head-on-head collision, or maybe a player, tackles a player in the air because the player jumped the last minute or something. It's a legal move from the offending player that resulted in something that is dangerous or an accident that could potentially become a 20-minute red card. So everything that's to do with a legal move in rugby is to be considered, is to go, okay, yellow card, TMO review, potentially for a 20-minute red card. Now, as far as I know, the full red card can only be given by the referee on the field. Once it goes to the TMO review, the TMO cannot actually upgrade the red card to the full red card. But I've never seen it, but maybe they can. But basically, if the referee on field determined that it's not a full red card, we go off the field for the 20-minute red card. And now, keep in mind, the fundamental idea of 20-minute red card is to reduce stoppage time on field. So the whole idea is that anything that looks like it's an accident, anything that looks like it's not that dangerous, you should just go, yep, head contact, TMO review it, deal with it off the field, play on with the game. That's the whole fundamental premise of the 20-minute red card. 20-minute red card is not here to add another level of decision-making. It's here to reduce decision-making, right? So it needs to be, so for a full red card to be sent out, because it has to be done by the referee on field, it needs to be very, very obvious that it's a full send-off red card. Because there's no point of a referee sitting in the field deciding whether this should be a 20-minute red card or not. The whole point is to speed the game up. So if if your referee looks at an incident and is already considering mitigating factors, that should just be a 20-minute red card. Oh no, 20-minute red card. That should just be off-field review for a potential 20-minute red card. It has to be, that's basically how the premise of it. So something really obvious, right? Punches someone, abusing the referee, a clear illegal move, full red card. Off you go, done, dusted. If something that's like, oh, I don't know, maybe mitigating factors, 20-minute red card, not 20-minute card, off-field review, potential for 20-minute red card, okay? And that is basically how it works in Super Rugby. Simple enough, right? Basic idea, speed the game up. Obviously red card, not so obvious, off-field review, get on with the game. That's the whole idea of the 20-minute red card. And that's not what we saw on the weekend. We saw referees basically trying to decide this is a 20-minute red card or not 20-minute red card already on the field, and then sending it off to TMO. That's already basically got a decision from the referee. So that's not right at all. Okay, that's basically what's supposed to happen. So let's have a look at some of the incidents on the weekend, right? So first off, obviously, this incident, there's a lot of gaslighting with this incident. People were saying that, oh, the TMO told the referees a 20-minute, it's a full red card. No, Angus Garner decided this was a full red card. But like I said, he's not supposed to spend all this time on the field deciding if this mitigating factor or not. He has to decide whether or not that this shot is a legal or not legal rugby move. That's all he has to consider. He doesn't have to consider if Thomas Ramos dropped. He doesn't have to consider if, you know, if there was another player involved. He just have to consider this is a legal move or not. If he's deemed that this is an illegal move, right, should just be a straight red card. No need to consider any mitigation. That's it. But the fact that he's considering that, he didn't consider, by the way, he said, you know, he was basically considering if there is need to consider mitigation or not. And he basically determined that there's no need to consider mitigation, like there's not a player involved. This player was already being tackled, the ball's been thrown at Diacha, maybe his hand got blocked. There's no need to consider any of that because Angus Garner has determined from the get-go, Diacha dropping his height, shouldering, tucked, is an illegal move, which immediately falls into this category without consideration for a rugby incident. Now, a lot of you guys were saying, oh, you drop height, everything. There may be a disruption here for making this a legal tackle. So yeah, technically you're right. There could be like 50-50. Like this is a really borderline. First of all, this is definitely a red card of some sort, whether it's 20-minute or full send-off. I'm happy with the both. But Gardner, in this situation, which is according to the Super Rugby, which is consistent with the Super Rugby, has decided this was an illegal move, full red card, noted the consideration for a mitigating factors. That's what he decided, and I think that's, you know, 50% of the time you could say that, and I think it's fine. Now, think about it this way, right? If you're a Springbok fan, you're going to be pointing at slow-mo, you know, circling all the different problems with this thing. Just have to think about it this way. What will Rassi Erasmus saying in this situation? Is he going to say, oh, Diacha, don't worry about it, mate. You know, unlucky, referee made a wrong decision. Your arm got blocked, the ball was thrown at your head, dropping high last minute, whatever, right? He won't say that. He's going to say, Diacha, you should have gone for the jackal. You made a poor decision to begin with to try to tackle a player that was basically already tackled, right? You have to think about how to mitigate the situation, not looking at excuses for the referee to not give a red card. You have to look at how the player can take the agency from the referee so that he's not left in a position to decide whether it's 20-minute red card or full red card, because they're both pretty bad. You need to look at what the player should have done in this situation, and he should have gone for the jackal. This is a perfect setup for jackal, and, you know, I think Diacha made a wrong decision to begin with, putting himself in a position that could result in a red card. He shouldn't have done that in the first place, and I think that's probably what Rassi should talk about. But this one, it's very hard. Definitely a red card of some sort, and I think Gardner is 50-50 on whether it's a straight red card or 20-minute red card and an off-field review. But this is, I think, you know, both decisions are fine by me because it's still consistent with Super Rugby. Now, this one here, it's a bit interesting as well. England versus Fiji. There was an incident where there was a high ball and Raul Tamanda taken out, what's his name? Fayu Wambuso in the air. and Wambusu landed on his face. Now, let's have a look at the guideline here. This is a guideline. First of all, is this a straight red card? Was it an illegal move? So, based on what we saw in this video, Raul Talmanda was looking at the ball and he jumped, right? He jumped and looked at the ball. He looked like he was challenging the ball. So he's definitely making a legal move, right? So it's not an illegal move. It's not like he just taking the player out in the air, tackled him in the air. He's looking at the ball. He's looking at the ball. He jumped, challenged the ball, and he collided in the air. This is a rugby incident, right? So rugby incident means that it's going to go off the field for a review, which is the correct decision. But the result was that this was just a yellow card, which I think is incorrect. I think this is a 20-minute red card because this was an extremely dangerous, reckless act, and the player did, in fact, land on his face. So this should be upgraded to a 20-minute red card. Again, inconsistent to what you would have seen in Super Rugby in this situation. Now, finally, this incident here with Wales and Argentina was another interesting one. I want to show you what this referee actually says. And this is the referee. This is referee Ben O'Keefe. I don't know what he's doing these days. He's worked with 20-minute red cards for a long time, and I think that some of the interpretations here, I think they made the right decision, but what the wording from Ben O'Keefe is actually incorrect here. So let's listen to what he said.
Now look at it in high detail.
Given something of a reprieve.
But the action, definitely the yellow.
So he basically said that the TMO have looked at it in the last 8 minutes in high detail, couldn't see contact to the head, but it's still a dangerous move, so it's just going to remain and yellow. Now, let's have a look at this. Okay, so the question here is not whether or not this connected to the head. The question should be whether or not this kick connected at all, because it is it is striking, and striking is a full red card. Unless he completely miss, it should be a red card. If any contact is made at any part of the body, it's a full red card. It doesn't matter about head or not, full red card. You're not supposed to kick anybody anyway. So the fact that the referee said it didn't hit him in the head, that mitigates down to a yellow. It's incorrect. It should just be connection or no connection. Now, based on what we saw here, he actually looked like he missed. It didn't look like he missed. So he didn't actually kick Matera, actually land the kick at all. So the decision for the yellow card is not that, hey, he didn't kick him in the head. Is that there's no evidence that he actually made contact, or is evidence that he didn't actually make contact on Matera at all. Thus, just a yellow card. And if he actually hadn't made contact even to the chest, should just be a full red send-off without any mitigating considerations. So again, this is just, this is kind of like, I guess the best way to think about it is like if you abuse the referee, or let's put it this way, right? If you spit on someone, is that dangerous? No, it's not dangerous, but it is a full red card, okay? Because you can't abuse another player like that. So it's so same thing here. Did he perform an illegal move or striking, an attempt to kick someone? Yes. Was it dangerous? Yes. Did he hit somebody? If it's yes, then it's full red. If he missed completely, then yellow is sufficient for the punishment, right? So that's kind of like how you look at it in the 20-minute red card, and I think it's very consistent. So last week, the Ty Burn one, obviously it was rescinded, but I still don't think it's very like low degree of danger, and it's a rugby incident. He didn't have time to wrap or something. But yeah, it is really consistent. But I do think the Ty Burn incident should have been was a full red card. Was it a full red card? Yeah, it was a full red card. I thought that could have been a 20-minute red card max, maybe a yellow card, because of a very low degree of danger. Again, it is some of this. It is. This is basically how they worked. This is a framework to work in the Super Rugby. A lot of inconsistencies all over the place, especially when Mike Adamson is involved. But hopefully that clears up the things a little bit for everyone. So Angus Garner, actually got it correct. I actually got it correct. I just think that it's a very hard call. 50-50 both ways. It's definitely a red one way or the other. So yeah, obviously, you know, after watching this Welsh game, I kind of realized Scarlet might be the team that's been removed from the Welsh Union. They're not doing so well because, you know, if the national team is literally wearing the Scarlet shorts, you know, they're trying to salvage some of their spending. Looks like trying to save some money there. So maybe Scarlet's the team that's getting removed, right? Just a little bit of observation here. Now, obviously, the Rugby World Rankings is becoming more and more important with December coming up as the deadline. They will lock in the pool, the points by December, and then the draws will be done for the Rugby World Cup. So I want to take an opportunity to go talk about the draw. It is really confusing, and I think it's really, really stupid. It's really unfair. I really don't like this at all. I know they try to add a couple extra teams, but it really hurts the integrity of the game. I think some teams might get extremely hard done by as a result of the way that it's set off the Rugby World Ranking. So first up, Rugby World Ranking stands on the weekend like this, and I want you to notice that there's a big gap between 6th and 7th. Like there's a massive fall off of points from 6 onwards. So the top 6 are much better than the bottom 6. I want you to keep that in mind. So yes, how the Rugby how the Rugby, you know, pool stage will be set at work. So let's have a look at this on a different window. So there will be 6 pools, and each pool will have 4 teams, right? So let's bring up this second window so that we can all see how this works, right? Oops, here we go. So we got 6 pools, A, B, C, D, E, F, the 6 pools, and each pool has, you know, 4 teams, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first ranked team, you know, every pool has number 1, number 2 rank, right? So how this works is obviously by the end of the rounds, each team play, you know, only 3 games in the pool stage, and the top 2 teams will guarantee to advance, right? The top 2, let's do a bracket here. So the top 2 teams, the number 1, number 2 teams will guarantee to advance to the next stage. Plus, the highest 4 ranked teams in the 3rd place will go up as well. And all of these guys are eliminated, right? The highest 4 in the 3rd place in terms of overall points. This is already a bit subjective because it depends on your pool. You might have an easy pool, so being 3rd place might be easier than other pools. So yeah, anyway, it's already a bit of a problem, but these will be the teams that's going to be the advanced to the quarterfinals. To the round of 16. Now this next bit is really stupid, and I think it's really unfair. In a round of 16, the teams from Pool A, right? Let's go. The 4 teams from Pool A, B, C, D. These 4 teams, the 4 teams from A, B, C, and D will play the 4 teams. These 4 teams that's ranked 3rd. Okay, so they have a very easy round of 16, and the teams that are ranked number 1 in E and F, they will play the 2nd ranked team in Pool B, I think. Yeah, so Pool D and Pool B, okay? So these 2 teams will play these 2 guys. And the remaining teams, right, these guys, and these guys, they will play each other. Everybody still following? So now, right, now you have, these guys are going to have an easy round of 16. These guys are going to have a slightly harder round of 16. And these are the guys just going to be playing equal level oppositions, right? Now, they balance that out. So the next round, right, the round of the quarterfinals, essentially. Sorry, the quarterfinals, the teams, these guys, right? These guys will play another round of these teams that are ranked 2nd. These guys will play each other in the quarterfinals. So the teams, so let me just give you a visual representation, right? the teams that are in the red will play each other all the way till the semi-final. And these remaining guys here will play each other in the semi-finals. As you can see, this here is a much tougher pool than these guys. Because the world rankings showed there's a big gap between the top 6 and the bottom 6. So yes, in theory, these guys should be, you know, fairly competitive, equally matched. But in reality, the top 6 teams has a huge, much more competitive than the bottom 6, the next 6. And these two teams, the teams that gets put into Pool E and F, the first number 2, you know, these two teams, the top one, the 2 top 6 teams, that's gonna end up in Pool E and F, are gonna have a much easier time getting to the semi-finals, because they only gonna be playing teams that are a lot worse than the other two, whereas these guys will most likely end up in the quarterfinals like this. 2 tier 1 top 6 teams playing each other, whereas these guys most likely in the quarterfinals will end up something like this. A number 1, you know, a tier 1 ranked team against a tier 2 ranked team. So this is much harder. So as you can see, this is much harder to get into the final, to get in the semi-final. This is much easier to get into the semi-finals. I hope this is making sense to everybody, and everybody can see how stupid this is, right? On one side, the quarterfinals is going to be 4 tier 1 teams, most likely. In fact, you know, let's face it, you know, it's basically like guaranteed. And the other side will basically guarantee be a top 6 ranked team playing an easy top, you know, bottom 6 ranked team, much easier opponent to get into the semi-finals. So yeah, so good luck, guys, getting into the easier Pool E and F. Australia's already screwed because we're guaranteed to be in Pool A. So the best we can hope for, we're definitely going to get stuff in one of these groups. So yeah, anyway, hopefully that made sense. And if I get any of that wrong, let me know in the comments. My goodness, that's a bit of a muck around. Anyway, let's go through the rest of the news quickly. So obviously the All Blacks has announced their team. Let's just look at the All Blacks team first before this drags on forever. All Blacks announced the team against England this weekend. This one injury with what's his name? The winger Caleb Clubb has a bit of a hamstring injury, so he's out. But overall, this is a pretty similar setup for the All Blacks side with David McKenzie coming off the bench to finish off the game. So coming number 1, Ethan de Groot, Cody Taylor number 2, Fletcher Newell number 3. Same setup as last week. Scotty Barrett number 4, Fabian Coller number 5. I think Scotty had a break last week. Simon Parker number 6, Artie Savea number 7, Peter Larkhite the same triple setup in the loose forwards. Cameron Royger number 9, Bowden Barrett the same 9-10 combination. Lesiga Fainga Nuku gets caught up on the bench to fill in for Caleb Clubb. Quinn Tupai number 12 again, and Billy Proctor number 13. I think Fainga Nuku was number 13 last week. Billy Proctor was on the bench, so Fainga Nuku is moved to number 11. From 13, actually. Leroy Carter, number 14, again, and Will Jordan finish up at number 15. Somasoni Takiaku, Tamati Williams, and Basilio Tossi, the same setup on the bench for the front rowers. Josh Lord, number 19, and Wallace Latidia, number 20, the same setup as well from last week. Cortez Rasma, number 21, 7 last week. Anton Lennon Brown gets added to the team, number 22. David McKenzie retains number 23 jersey, so pretty much unchanged on the bench, except for Anton Lennon Brown coming in, obviously, with Fainga, with Billy Proctor gets moved up to number 13, and Fainga Nanuku gets pushed into number 11. It's basically and Scotty Barrett coming in. Is it Scotty Barrett last week? Did Scotty Barrett play last week? Anyway, that's pretty much not too many changes for this All Black side, but I think there will be a lot of changes when the England team is announced for next week. For the French, Justin Marshall has ripped into them a little bit this week for obviously bringing the B team, that disrespecting our fans here in New Zealand. And yeah, 4 losses in a row for the French, and you know, it's the top 14 doing their you know, hamstringing the national team's performance. And I think Justin Marshall is rightfully making that call and calling them out about it. Some of the French media I thought was really unfair towards Fabien Galtier, to be honest, because I thought, you know, he has his hands tied behind his back. He's only got access to you know, to some of the players at some of the times, and it makes sense for him to put half the teams that play at the Six Nations and some of the players that play in the July Test series as a mixed team going into the game against the Springboks. I mean, you have to get some value out of the July Test series, or you can't just completely throw out every player and then have your Six Nations team come into play, fully into play, and then you also can't just put in the July team and ignore the Six team, the Six Nations team that you want to be using at the Six Nations. So he's in a tough position, and I think he did the best that he could, putting on the team, and you know, really did, you know, pretty much was winning the game in the first half. But I think that the lack of experience, the lack of inconsistency, the lack of time the players being with each other really hurt him, and it's out of his hands. I think Fabien Galtier overall is a brilliant coach, and I think some of the criticism from the French media is a little bit, I think it's a little bit unfair towards Fabien Galtier. Nolan Le Garrec, another guy who's been outstanding for the French team, has been injured, so he's going to be out of the Autumn Nations due to a muscle injury. No clarifications on what it is. This was reported on his Instagram. And moving on, so Scotland Rugby has, you know, reduced their losses by quite a bit, from 7.6 billion to what is it? From 11.3 billion loss to 7.6. So they've improved the losses a little bit. Scotland Rugby, you know, I looked at their report last year. They really struggle, not because the fact, you know, they have a really weird deal where I think the TV rights essentially being sold off for a guaranteed money. So so for them to make extra money, it's really difficult because a lot of the big money has already gone to someone else, and so they only gonna get like ticketing money, and so the amount of money they can actually make to improve their income is not that much. So the best thing they can do is reduce their costs. So they have, you know, spent a lot of money on the, you know, on the building up the facilities and stuff, and that's good. So hopefully that's going to come down a little bit in future times, and also they've reduced some of their payroll as well. So the best thing they can do is cut costs, but there's not really that much they can do to improve because they've basically cut themselves from the lucrative upside for a lot of the URC and a lot of the Six Nations rights to a third party to get someone else take the money there. So not a great decision there for Scotland Rugby, but they're definitely doing the best they can. There's a couple of big returns for Ireland this weekend against the Wallabies. So Mark Hansen and Stuart McCloskey is being added into the team, but the Jamie Osborne is out following the game against Japan. The Wallabies has also called in some veterans for this weekend as well. James O'Connor is back in the team. Leighton Ikitau is in the team. But the bad news is Willie Skelton, the big Willie, he is out due to an ankle injury playing for La Rochelle on the weekend. Yes, so if the Wallabies fail to win any games in the spring tour, it'll be 67 years. The last time the Wallabies failed to win a single game in the spring tour in November. Obviously 6-7, guys. That's the joke. That's the whole point of this article, the 6-7. So for the Welsh, I thought it was a pretty good effort for the Welsh team against the Argentinians. Really impressed with Jack Morgan on the field, and unfortunately he scored a try and hurt himself. He's going to be out for potentially the Six Nations as well. It's a dislocated shoulder. Boy, that's pretty tough. For the Springboks now, we've got a couple of players getting locked down in South Africa with Jan Hendrik Wessels and Cameron Hanekom signed with Sharks? Bulls, signed with the Bulls, extension 2028. And for the Reds, another liner has joined the pack. The Nick Liner has joined the Reds Academy, the youngest brother for the Liner family. So yeah, that's the news for this week. Tomorrow I'll be doing a full preview for the round for the for the Autumn Nations. But yeah, let me know your thoughts about the red cards, and let me know what you think about the Rugby World Cup pool setup. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.